Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Intentional Productivity Tips. I am your host and very favorite strategic productivity partner, Megan, and I am so glad to be with you on this Friday afternoon. I am looking forward to spending time today talking a little bit about how we can take control and be intentional with our productivity. You are watching me on USA Global TV and Radio's YouTube channel. You are also watching me on their website. So please be sure to like, subscribe, and even be notified when a new episode drops on YouTube, or check out our website as well, because there are a variety of shows that you can watch to learn how to be a better you, how you can take control of your life, and how you can enjoy what you've been working so hard to create. Tonight, we are going to talk about something that has recently been very appropriate for me, and I think you're going to get something from it as well. Tonight's episode, we are focusing on 5 introvert productivity tips for conference success. So I will be honest with you, I had my opportunity last weekend to attend my very first conference of 2025. We know conference season has arrived. I am an introvert, as I have mentioned before. And so one of the things that I realized with getting ready and going to a conference is that I needed to be prepared. I needed to be ahead of the game and be intentional with my time, my energy, and how to make sure I was going to enjoy the experience. So today we are going to talk about 5 productivity tips for introverts, maximizing your conference experience. Then we do have a weekly productivity quick tip, and that is going to also be how to create a daily checklist specifically for conference events. So let's talk a little bit about why is it that we want to talk about? Why should introverts be intentional when preparing for conferences? Fun fact, did you know about 25 to 50% of population identifies as introverted? Because our energy is impacted by being around large groups. So it's crucial for introverts to be intentional at conferences, planning ahead, pacing ourselves, and building in downtime to ensure we can learn, connect, and fully benefit from every session without burning out. Because let's be honest, when we think about conferences, they are amazing because they're about topics we love. It's an experience and an opportunity to travel. But it also can be a challenge because it also is people-y. And depending on, so I have worked remote for the last 11 years. At the beginning of January, I celebrated my 11th year of working 100% remote. And one of the things that I realized is that when I'm 100% remote, I absolutely am not necessarily prepared to be around people all the time. Do any of you find that? And so when we're going to a conference, we know we want to have a good time and we know there are going to be people. So how can we protect our energy? How can we set ourselves up for success? And how can we enjoy the event? So I've got 5 tips that I'm going to share with you today. So we want to set ourselves up for success. We want to make a practical conference plan. We want to embrace comfort and familiarity. We want to balance conference and personal time. And we want to manage work commitments and post-conference follow-up. So let's talk about how we can make that look. When you think about it, what's a conference you might be going to or someplace an event that you might be going? Is there something on your calendar for this year? As I said last weekend, I had an opportunity to go to a conference in Washington, D.C. called ShmooCon. It was an amazing, amazing experience. But again, there are some things that I did to make sure I had an amazing experience. Let's talk about tip number 1. We want to talk about setting ourselves up for success. How can we have a positive conference experience? How can we enjoy and get the energy and not be burnt out or crash and burn? One, we want to identify your goals and expectations. Determine what is it that we want to accomplish and learn. What are the networking targets? What are the objectives? Are there professional development milestones? What is it that you want to learn when you're going to the conference? Then we want to set realistic expectations. We want to acknowledge our energy levels and plan breaks. We want to understand that you can't attend and do everything. And so you can't attend and meet every person. So we want to focus on what matters most. One of the nice things about conferences these days is you can a lot of times go back and get videos of presentations. So one tip that I recommend is check out and see, are things going to be online that you can go back and watch later? Because then it gives you an opportunity to look at what are the experiences? What is it that you want to get from this conference? Is there something specific you want to learn? Is there someone you want to meet? So a key takeaway is be intentional about why you're attending and what success looks like for you. If you set it up for the beginning and you know what you're going to be doing, you have a far more likely chance of setting yourself up for success. So what is tip 2? Make a practical conference plan. So we want to be practical with what it is that we're going to be able to accomplish. So we want to identify, where is the conference? So again, I mentioned to you, I was in Washington, D.C. last weekend for a conference. Fortunately for me, it was all in one hotel. I happened to be staying at the hotel. And so that helped me because I could leave and take a little break if I needed to, or I could leave and change. I needed to leave and change my shoes, So what we want to do is we want to map out what the conference experience is. We want to map out what's going on. And then we want to map out our sessions and tracks. Is there a specific agenda or track of sessions you want to see? Choose sessions that align with your learning goals and with your genuine interests. Also something you can learn that's fun. Be flexible. You want to be, if a session isn't working for you, leave. It's okay. You want to map out your sessions and tracks. You want to map out your sessions and tracks to identify what it is you're doing and where you're going. And then you want to create a schedule with built-in downtime. You want to identify between sessions or between the day, when is it that you can allow yourself some time to rest and decompress? Maybe you, again, go for a walk, go for a lunch or something. And then you want to communicate availability. Before leaving for the conference, inform people, let them know, I am not going to be available. You might hear back from me, but if it's an urgent message, again, set that expectation with people and let them know that you're not going to be available. If you let people know that you're at a conference, most of the time they'll understand unless it's a true emergency. So the more you let people know, the more you're able to be having success. Key takeaway for tip number 2, a solid plan keeps you focused and flexible without draining your energy. For example, the conference I was at last week, I mentioned I was at a conference called ShmooCon, and they had these amazing villages. They had the Lock Pickers Village, they had a Capture the Flag Village, they had all these different villages with experience. It was a cyber and it was a tech convention, so it was very tech oriented. And so I knew that there were some of those events in some of those villages I wanted to go and see. So again, it's about making a practical conference plan so you can take control of your time and your experience and have fun enjoying what you're doing. It's also important, tip 3, embrace comfort and familiarity. You'll notice a theme and a common action. Whenever I talk about traveling, I am always going to say track and pack comfort items. You want to pack items, consider bringing maybe a lightweight blanket or a travel pillow or something so that when you're in your room, you're comfortable and you're able to relax. I personally always travel with a blanket because I know I can snuggle up and I know I will be comfortable. Also, things like noise canceling headphones or earplugs. If you're going to be at a hotel, you're going to be sharing walls with people, and those people might be loud. For example, over the weekend, I was next to the party host, and so there were parties going on in the room next to me 24 hours a day. Thankfully, I had my headsets and I had my noise canceling, so I didn't even have to listen to them. And so you want to think, what can I do to embrace comfort and familiarity wherever I'm staying? So if it's bringing comfort items or bringing logical items that are going to help you be prepared, or even help create a personalized safe space. Again, I always say make yourself comfortable in your hotel room, make yourself comfortable where you're staying so that you are relaxed. And when you go in, you know where things are and you're able to enjoy. So, a key takeaway for tip 3, feeling at ease in your environment helps keep your introvert energy level steady. So one of the reasons we're talking about being comfortable, because again, this is focused on introverts and anybody, but for introverts especially, we know that one of the reasons conferences can be challenging is because it's taking our energy and because we're with so many people. So for us, we need to think about how are we going to replenish our energy? How are we going to fill our energy tanks up? And one way we can do that is by bringing comfortable and making sure we have comfort items. And wherever we're staying, it's a familiar and an environment that's familiar and that has energy where we know we'll be able to re-energize. So that is tip number 3. Tip number 4 is balance conference time versus personal time. Now, this is very important. And of course, we want to schedule me time deliberately. Whenever you're at a conference, especially if it's someplace fun. Again, being in Washington, D.C., so many things I wanted to be able to see, so many things I wanted to be able to enjoy. And so we want to schedule me time deliberately. Block off times for relaxing or journaling. Consider room service and enjoying staying in. Find that me time, and then practice mindful networking. It's also important when you're balancing conference time and network time to practice mindful networking and attending the events rather than forcing nonstop socializing. It's not that you have to be socializing 24 hours a day at a conference. Find an event or a space where you can go and get the most energy and people for your time. Last week, there was a lobby con, and so people would meet and hang out and socialize at the lobby. So for me, I realized at the end of the day, I could finish the conference, go up and relax for an hour, go back downstairs, spend some time in the lobby for about an hour, have a glass of champagne, wine, or whatever I wanted to drink, and then I would be done because I would be socializing. But it is important to identify what is a conference time and what is your personal time. Again, last week, being in Washington, D.C., I realized I wanted to go see the monuments. And so I made arrangements so that I knew that I was going to be able to do that because it would be something that would give me energy and I would enjoy that experience. So it's important to balance conference time versus personal time. The 5th tip is to manage work commitments and post-conference follow-up. So we want to think about our workload in advance. We want to identify, are there tasks that I'm going to delegate? Are there tasks that I'm just not going to do? Am I going to check my email? How am I going to limit my work time? I know this isn't always possible. And there are times when I talk with my clients and they're like, Megan, you're crazy if you think I cannot work and go to a conference. And I say, I understand that. And potentially I am partially crazy, but I also am crazy enough to know that if you're going to a conference, you need to experience and enjoy it. So it's important to set that aside of time. If there's not emergencies, if there's things that you can set aside, do it. If there's work that you have to do at your conference, establish that and include that in your daily plan, which we'll get to in a moment. But if there's something you have to do, account for it. If you're able to set it aside, then do that. Because again, we're talking about how can you really enjoy and get the most out of a conference? And it's focusing on your present, being where you are, not thinking about what's going on back at your office, your home, or wherever it is you work. And then you want to think about post-conference action items. Outline how you'll follow up with people, who it is that you want to make connections with. Are you going to make any social media posts? Set aside time after the conference to identify how you're going to connect with people. And then also set aside time to organize. What are the notes, the ideas? What are new strategies that you've learned? One reason I love flying to a conference is because I love on the plane home, having that time where I'm very focused to be able to look at it. Key takeaway here, minimizing work distractions helps you fully participate in the conference and quickly apply learnings once you get back. So that's why I think it is so important to be able to say, I'm going to plan my workload in advance. Because again, you're making a monetary investment. You're making a time investment. You're away from your friends and family. So we need to identify how conferences can be a positive experience, especially for those of us who need to be able to find times to energize that might not be so people-y. So those are our 5 tips. When you think about making a conference positive, it is a choice. Your conference experience is a choice in what you want to have. So conferences are a chance to explore, connect, and grow. Embrace your style, pace yourself, and intentionally seek out new opportunities to learn and thrive. As you can see here, I did get to spend an opportunity. I had an opportunity last week to spend some time at the monuments in Washington, D.C., and it made me feel good because I knew that that was where I wanted to spend my time, and it was time for me doing something I love. So it definitely energized me. When we think about conferences, how we experience them is our choice. So my recommendation is take some time to be intentional to decide how you want to make your conference experience and also make it positive for your energy levels. Are you ready to talk about today's quick tip? So today's productivity quick tip, it relies a little bit back on conferences. So it is, how do you set a conference daily checklist for when you're at a conference? For any of you who have seen episodes with me before, you know that I have a 6 or 7 steps recommendation for your daily checklist. But when you're at a conference, my recommendation is to set that daily checklist aside and look at a conference daily checklist. We're going to look at 3 things. There are 3 things to do, 3 types of time at a conference. There's conference time, there is me time, and there's project time. So what I recommend when you're looking at your daily checklist, so this is, I'm at the conference, I am awake, I'm ready to go. How do I plan my day? Again, there's 3 times you want to look at: conference time, me time, project time. So how do we do that? For conference time, we want to look at what are our daily session and workshop goals. List the specific sessions or workshops you want to go to. Know a key takeaway or something you want to learn from them. Identify your networking plans. Who is it that you want to, is there an intentional opportunity or people, or is there an experience? What is it that you hope to learn and share through networking? And then third, you want to be able to review and adjust, right? This is your conference time. So it's about your sessions and your workshops. It's about your networking plan. And then it's about reviewing and adjusting. After each conference block, reflect. Did it meet your expectations? If so, great, continue. If not, then that's time when you want to reconsider changing sessions or moving to something else. So the first thing in your daily checklist when you're looking at when you're at a conference is you want to identify your conference time. The second time you want to look at is me time, right? What are your energy breaks? Schedule a short break, schedule an excursion. Again, last week, I took opportunity at lunch. After lunch, I took a walk to DuPont Circle because it was fun. And so it was a chance to get out and get a little bit of air on my face. Even though it was in the 20s, I was worth it. But you want to take energy breaks. What do you need to do? Do you need to work out? Do you need to do yoga? Do you need to stretch? What is your energy break? You want to take care of you. Note activities to help you recharge. Do you want to read? Do you want to have coffee? Is there a tasty treat you could have? And then third, plan your evening wind down time or re-energy activity for you. So plan something you can do. Maybe you're winding down in the room. Maybe you're sitting and having a glass of your favorite something. Maybe you're energizing and taking an evening stroll. But me time is about managing your energy breaks, taking care of you, and planning wind down time. And then the third is project time. So this again is, what is your work time? What are your work tasks that you have to do? Identify the urgent tasks, identify anything that you must do. Then again, limit your check-ins, identify, here's when I'm going to check my email, my messages, and all the things. And then identify the things you can set for a return to home task. What are tasks you can do when you return home? And so the 3 things we want to consider with that is, what is your conference daily checklist for your project time? So your daily checklist, your conference daily checklist is 3 buckets, as we can see here. What is your conference time? What is your me time? What is your project or your work time? We have 24 hours in a day. So our question to ourselves is, how are we going to spend that time? And how are we going to spend that time during our conference day? So we're making the most of the experience and we're still getting done what we need to. Balancing your conference time, me time, and project time, and enjoying the event in a way that keeps you comfortable, energized, and be true to you. That is my recommendation, and why I have spent this time talking together with you to think about, let's be intentional with your conference experience. Let's be intentional with every work experience. Let's identify, set realistic expectations, and then let's, most important, ask, how can we take care of ourselves so that we are able to be at our best and able to enjoy the experience and get the most of it? And isn't that what we want to do all of the time? So on today's show, we talked about two things. We talked about 5 productivity tips for introverts, how to maximize your conference experience. I hope you'll take one of those away. Again, we are just starting 2025, so conference season is upon us. So I hope as you are going to a conference or a work event or project or personal or professional event, that you take time to be intentional and identify how can you get the most out of it. And then, of course, we also talked about our weekly productivity quick tip and our daily conference checklist. As always, my hope for you is that you are able to get at least one lesson, one key takeaway, one nugget of information that you're going to be able to learn and implement into your weekly life, into your productivity life. Because let's be honest, this is about intentional productivity tips. So on a weekly basis, as always, my goal has been to share something with you to help you take control of your productivity, to change and improve your relationship with productivity and with your expectations for yourself. I am Megan. This has been a great time. I've enjoyed this time with you. I hope that you have learned a little bit about making productivity tips for productivity for introverts at conferences and for making your daily checklist. You are watching me on USA Global TV and Radio. I am here every week. Next week, you will see me on Thursday at 2:00 Pacific. So you will see me then. Again, please remember to like, subscribe, and be notified of new episodes of intentional productivity tips and all of the other shows on USA Global TV and Radio. And now a message from our sponsors.